That's no longer your U.S. military, is it? They're no longer serving you, are they? They are no longer national defense, are they? So this has been the same old shit. The same old shit going back into ancient times. Going back past the Roman Empire. I'm going to paraphrase some notes from William Cooper and his research on the Knights Templar. He had a series called Mystery Babylon on the internet. I recommend that you listen to that. It was part of his radio show, Mystery Babylon series. And I'm going to paraphrase some notes that I took when he was discussing the Knights Templar. And the Knights Templar were like knights that were around the years like 1200, 1300, 1400, and on. They were during the Crusades, when they'll dress up in armor and go invade the Middle East, trying to take over the Holy Land that Muslims supposedly took over. So they have all this mystique about the Knights Templar. Were they warrior monks? Where do they come from? There were supposed to be just 9 of them that were employed to guard pilgrims who were going to the Holy Land, to guard Christian pilgrims as they're going to the Holy Land. And they said there were just 9 of them to start, and they were given a wing in Jerusalem in the palace. So basically, to cut through all the bullshit, to cut through all the illusion, the Knights Templar were the Roman Catholic army. That's all they were. And the 9 knights that went to this castle, they were kind of sent ahead to kind of work out their game plan in the Middle East. This was the heads of the military. These were probably priests from the Roman Catholic Church that went to the palace and were given their own wing, and they were there to protect pilgrims en route to the Holy Land. That's all just a cover story. So you can read about all the Crusades, and then you hear that the Knights Templar became very wealthy in Europe. Roman Catholic Knights Templar, the crusading knights, once they got done raping and killing everybody in the Middle East, they were unleashed upon Europe to places like the Languedoc region of southern France and told to kill all the peaceful people over there. So all throughout Europe, these Knights Templar, these Roman Catholic knights, took over society. And all you hear in history books is that they became very wealthy. They became the first international banks, which meant throughout Europe, they had all the money. They were loaning all the money to people. They had lots of horses. They had lots of land. They had abbeys. They were huge. How did they get all that land? How did they get all that power? These crusading knights returned to Europe. They would move into an area and they would kill off people in their land. If you and a few families lived off in this rural area and you had a farm that was in your family for generations, these Knights Templar, these crusading Roman Catholic knights, would attack and kill you, enslave your children, enslave your women, if not kill them, and then take over your land, take over your wealth. It was a secret invasion by the Roman Catholic Church on Europe. That's how these Knights Templar got all that influence and wealth. And the only bad press they got is the line, as haughty as a Templar. They were so rich and powerful. They were haughty. No, they had death squads where they were secretly attacking, raping, robbing, and stealing from the people of Europe. Stealing their belongings, stealing their families, their children, their land, their resources. The Roman Catholic Church took all that over. And once these Knights Templar had taken over all this land, they did what they're currently doing now in the U.S. military, which is they send these young programmed men and women who are part of their cult, who are part of their military cult, and they send them in to intermarry with some of the other populace. Once they've taken over a quarter or half the lands, all of a sudden they become like dukes or lords of estates. So he has 5 young boys, 5 teenage sons, who he's been raping since they're little kids and programming them to be homosexuals. These sons will all have titles too. And they'll send these kids these temple prostitutes, these kids that were used as slaves, as boy prostitutes their whole life growing up. They will send these kids in to act as lords. They will send these kids in to act as dukes with titles to land. And they'll intermarry with the other members of the populace in Europe. And oftentimes after intermarrying with a family, they would get in the house and they'll slowly kill off members of the house they cannot control and take over that house. One of these temple prostitutes married the daughter of a man, and they had land, they had a big farm. And then her father mysteriously dies of a heart attack. He was poisoned. The young lady gives him a few children, and then she's next to be killed. She's next to be poisoned, or dies during childbirth, is one of their favorite things to do. And then these children are under the control of the Roman Catholic Church. And they're going to be pimped out and used as temple prostitutes too. And then when they get older, they'll join the Roman Catholic Knights Templar Military Order. And it just goes on and on and on. And they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is how the Roman Catholic Church used their military to invade Western Europe stealthily. By invading and killing lots of people, taking over their land. And then they used all their young men, all their homosexual young men, to intermarry with the surrounding people. They used all their gay, homosexual females to intermarry with the surrounding people. And the reason they use gay people is because they do not really fall in love with their husband or wives. They never get emotionally attached to their husband and wife, and then they will follow orders to do whatever the cult tells them to do. And oftentimes that leads to the people in that family, in the family that they married into, dying at their hands. As soon as she gets pissed off, as soon as he gets pissed off, he's going to hold a grudge, and you tell him or her to go poison their new husband or wife. They'll do it. And the Roman Catholic Church knows all about different poisons to use. So these are programmed young men and women who are very hateful. And they are programmed against falling in love, traditional families. They hate sex because they got raped at a young age, and they're homosexuals. So oftentimes they're in love with their gay mate somewhere else. So they don't truly love their husband or wife. They love the cult. Because in their mind, you had it too good. You had it too good while they didn't have it good, and you need to go. Because deep down they're hateful people. The Roman Catholic Church and these military orders that do this sort of stuff, they only want the very worst. The ones that will kill anybody. The ones that will befriend you, marry you, get close to you, and act like you're their best friend and they love and adore you. And as soon as you turn your back, they will stab you right in the back. They will do whatever grimy, terrible thing to you. Or they're promised a promotion, or more money, or more drugs. However, the cult has control of these people. And that same thing is happening today. And the U.S. military has barracks filled with these people. And they have not come from normal families like you. They have not grown up with parents that cared about them and tried to do right by them. They have grown up with parents that raped them, that programmed them to be homosexual, that programmed them to be hateful, that programmed them to hate you, and only look forward to the time where they can punish you. They got barracks filled with these people, more every year, programmed for the attack on America. And they're not going to do it. The U.S. military is not going to do it by blowing up cities. They're going to do it the same way the Knights Templar did it. They're going to take over some estates. They're going to take over some businesses and act like they're regular people. And then they'll send in their programmed homosexual temple prostitutes in to intermarry with the American people. And they do that to take over your houses. They don't want any free people in America. They don't want a real woman and a real man marrying and bringing their kids up right to protect these children. They don't want that. They want at least one of their parents to be controlled by the Roman Catholic Church to be controlled by the U.S. military so they could assure that these kids will get raped and programmed, at least a little bit. So they all grow up with emotional problems. They all grow up confused. They all grow up angry. They all grow up on drugs. There's so many ways to control these people. So the U.S. military are modern age temple prostitutes. So it goes without saying that these Knights Templar brothers and sisters raised up as child prostitutes in this military cult were not going to be loyal to whoever they married. They were not going to be loyal to even their own children. Their job was to go in there and take over houses. Pretend like they were real people, marry real men and real women, and then take over their houses, their estates, and kill them off. And then run back to the cult. Run back to the military and await a new assignment. Because that's what they're used to doing. Being used as prostitutes. That will be given a fake life, a fake name, a fake title, a fake occupation, coming from a land and a house they stole. So while this was going on, nobody had much to say about them on the record. They were known as a very powerful international bank and military force. But somehow history separates them from the Roman Catholic Church. And then they pulled the Great Disappearing Act. And if you ask what happened to the Knights Templar, they took their great treasure and they ran away with it. They ran off with their treasure. And that is enough for most people. What happened to Knights Templar? They accumulated great wealth, and the Roman Catholic Church, together with a French king, decided they were getting too powerful. So they outlawed it. And so the Knights Templar ran off with their treasure. What really happened is that they just dropped the name. They are no longer Knights Templar. They're just the fake citizens of whatever estate they stole. They invaded all of Europe. Every country in Europe they invaded. They secretly killed off a lot of citizens, and then they intermarried with the other citizens, pretending like they're real people. Pretending like they're lords from the estates they just ripped off. And then the church says, it's time for you guys to go underground. It's time for you to drop the name. So the Knights Templar didn't go running off anywhere. They just remained exactly where they were, on whatever lands they stole. That was how the Roman Catholic Church, these priests and these brothers, pretended like they're real people to get into everybody's house. And the same exact thing is happening in America today. They have barracks of male prostitutes. They have barracks full of female prostitutes who have been abused their whole life. And a lot of these soldiers are used on the pornography circuit. After they get done being raped as children, they act in adult films. They're in good shape after going through basic training. They're in good shape getting off the military base. What to do now? You like acting? Why don't you act in a few adult films? These people have been used as prostitutes their whole life. They've been abused as children. They are part of the adult porn industry. And now they're going to be ordered to go into society and marry this person, marry this woman, marry this man, break up this family, hit on this guy who has a nice business, and see if you could break up his family and then get in there. So we can get a male prostitute to date his ex-wife. Because they're going after your children.